little kid better get thrown in some fire soon, boy. I can't stand this.
You know what? That was tragic.
If we should fail,
we fail.
And so here's the thing, people. I wasn't good at Shakespeare in high school and drama club or anything like that. I took a class for a semester and I enjoyed it because there wasn't that much Shakespeare in it.
Okay.
The way that Shakespeare wrote his plays it's a rhythm to it. It is a rhythm that is so, you have to knock that rhythm out of the park when you're reading this stuff.
Right.
Oh,
Shakespearean prose is it's different from speaking regular English, and even his plays are like have a different like format than other movies or modern movies, right? A modern movie has a 3-act structure. Shakespearean structure has 5 acts, and this film also has 5 acts, and because it fades to black 5 times for between each act. So this one is 100% a Shakespearean play put to film, complete with the full Shakespearean prose. And I know immediately right there that this is going to cut off a bunch of people and it's going to alienate a lot of people. Now, my personal theory, and people say this isn't the case, but my personal theory is if you don't like Shakespeare, it's probably because you had a really bad teacher in high school. You know, he was dry and boring, and they just read the shit straight up, and you're like, what are you talking about? It feels like you're reading the Bible or something, you know? You're like, what is going on in here? But I had a pretty good teacher at our high school, and she actually made me like Shakespeare. And my introduction to Shakespeare was through Macbeth. So
are you talking about Miss Z?
No, I'm talking about
Oh, no. I
okay. I didn't have her. But yeah, my teacher was really into Shakespeare, and she kind of got me into it through Macbeth. So like, I kind of dug it. I kind of like this movie.
If and only I had this.
She knew that the kids were like openly hostile to Shakespeare. So she'd be like, I know you think you don't like this, but you will. I promise. Just give it a chance. And she were like, fine. And she had us deep into Shakespeare. We were all up in it. I feel like my whole class was like deep into it, mostly through Macbeth. And so because of that, I kept thinking about my high school experience with Macbeth and with Shakespeare. And I imagine this film will be played in high schools around the country forever because it is a very faithful filmed adaptation of the play Macbeth. And for those who are not familiar with Macbeth, a rough general outline of what happens in this play. Macbeth is like a soldier who one day he comes across the 3 weird sisters, and they say unto him that he will be king one day, and his friend will never be king, but his friend will be the father of many kings. And Macbeth is like, what? That's weird. And then suddenly the next day, boom, things are set right in motion for him to be king. And he's like, what? Wow, crazy. I've got a plan. I'm gonna make this happen now. I'm just gonna straight up assassinate the king and become king. And this starts a whole domino effect. Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna kill him, his kid.
Exactly. This has this whole domino effect where he ends up killing so many people, mostly people who are really close to him, and he becomes a mad tyrant. And of course, all this does is pave the way for that guy's kids to be king. So it is of course a tragedy. So it don't end well. As you can tell, right on the poster, Macbeth gets his head chopped off right at the end of the film.
Yeah.
And so it's a classic. This is beyond classic. It's freaking Shakespeare.
This is a film you can't spoil because it's a 300-year-old.
Yeah, you can't spoil this film. Don't worry. Yeah, he dies at the end, but his death is on the poster, so it's okay. You know, everyone knows he dies. But what I thought was really interesting about this film is when I first heard about it, I thought this film was going to be done by the Coen brothers. I was like, oh wow, the Coen brothers are doing this, but it's not. It's just one Coen brother. Which Coen brother was it, Tyrone?
Joel
Coen. Okay, I believe this is his first outing solo dolo by himself, and man, does this film look awesome.
Let me tell you how this film looks. This film was obviously shot in studio, and they made you feel like it was otherworldly. All the others worldly. That you was like you were in another world, man. And it was long, steady shots of eerie images.
Yeah.
And just beautiful. It was beautiful, man.
Do you know what it reminded me of? That video game Limbo. It looked just like it, where everything was kind of in silhouette and black and white and eerie and creepy, and really there really wasn't much music. It was just like what you could just hear, like, birds chirping in the background and like rain dripping, and like it was just like off-putting. You really couldn't sit comfortable watching the film, and the Shakespearean prose does not help with you like being comfortable, because you're like trying to hear what they're saying, and everything is looking strange and weird, especially the weird sisters. My gosh, it's like, what the heck? That's like something out of a nightmare. So the movie has a very unique and unsettling look to it.
Yeah, especially her voices when he goes into these hallucinations and stuff, to where he talks to the three sisters again, and like when the boy comes up from the water, I was like, but
the weird sisters, their arms are all weird, and like she's got like no bones. It's like, what in the heck? Bizarre.
I had to turn on closed caption for this film because I wanted to read what I was hearing, because it made me feel a little bit more connected.
Yeah, and a lot of people feel that way about Shakespeare. By the way, they prefer to read it, and that's how I was introduced to it, through reading it as well. So I totally understand what you're saying.
Denzel Washington in this film is superb.
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
It's like I feel like he did this in one take, and it was.
Well, I'm sure he did. I'm sure he did a lot of one takes, because I think this was shot in it was really quick. It was a really quick shoot. I think it was 1 month was the shooting, was it. That was all production. It was like done in 1 month. And I think it was shortened because of COVID. I'm not sure. So I'm sure he did do a lot of like single take type of deals. And Denzel's delivery, it's very Denzelian. So it's both casual and theatrical at the same time, as Denzel does.
I will not fight with thee.
Then yield thee, coward.
I will not yield. Kiss the ground before young Malcolm's feet, and to be baited with a rabble's curse. O Burnham would be come to Dunsinane, and thou oppose. Being not of woman born, yet I will try the last.
But it sounds, to me, it sounded like he was the only person speaking regular English. Like, I feel like I understood everything he was saying. I was like, oh, I get it. And I think it's because without Shakespeare, without Denzel's regular speech, right? Because he's using Shakespearean prose and all that. You've got to really focus on his facial expressions and his mannerisms, and I think you can really tell what an amazing actor he is. It's like the details. You don't really need. You could probably watch Denzel's performance on mute, and you would know what he's saying. So you would know what's going on in his mind. So he really, really helped. Frances McDormand also was awesome in this film as well, and she really helped elevate it as Lady Macbeth. So thank God for those two, because I bet without those two, this movie would be out of reach for like everybody. But I think they really helped bring this down to something that I think if you would give it a chance, you could probably understand what's happening without a problem.
I'm telling you, people, you should give this movie a chance, because it is a great film.
It's also shot in a weird way. It's shot in like a square. So it's not 16 by 9, and it's not 3 by 4, which is like old fashioned. I think it's just a square, like an Instagram square, So I'm not sure why that's for. The last movie I saw that was shot in a square like that, and it was also by A24, was The Lighthouse.
I knew it. I knew that was coming.
Now the reason why The Lighthouse looked like that is because they tried to use period accurate lenses and stuff like that to try and make the film look like something from back then. But in this movie, it's got that same like silvery look going on. But I'm not sure why it was shot in such a claustrophobic square. I don't know.
Maybe it's just because it just feels so old time Hollywood that they just wanted to get.
Or maybe that goes to the otherworldly thing you're talking about. It feels, like I said, claustrophobic and strange and weird. And so maybe that was the intent behind it. I'm not really sure.
Yeah. Now there's other talents in this film,
everybody's in this film.
Corey Hawkins is in this. Who's
Dr. Dre?
Dr. Dre, you know what I'm saying? But he did a great job in this. I really felt his pain when his wife and all of his children, he keeps saying all of his children were slain by
Macbeth's orders.
Macbeth's orders. And I was like, dang, oh boy, that I don't want to laugh at this part. When the soldier came up there and he kicked down the door and he took that kid and he was like, fuck them kids.
He just threw him.
The kid was like, ah!
That's funny. It's kind of like a 300 type of thing with like going into the pit. Like,
But the transition from that kid losing his life to the realization where it goes from that scene to him walking down that trail. It was beautiful. It was beautifully edited, man. Was, children death.
Children death. I also liked, like we talked about Frances McDormand. She was Lady Macbeth, and as everyone knows, Lady Macbeth is, some people consider her to be the true villain of the movie because it was really her idea for him to like start getting all this killing done. But of course, this drives Macbeth insane. So I thought she did really good. But one curious choice that I wasn't sure about, and this was they killed Lady Macbeth off camera, and I think we lost a lot of power of not seeing her death. Like they have the scene right where she's on the stairs and that guy's looking right at her, and they just cut. So I was like, I don't know why they didn't show him stabbing her. But so I thought that was probably the most jarring part of the film.
Old boy with that Riri Fenty dress on.
Yeah, Fenty dress. He did have it on.
But yeah, man, if you don't like Shakespeare, it's hard for you to get into Shakespeare. It's because of actors like this and directors like this with the vision that can get you into liking Shakespeare.
I totally agree. Like watching some of the other actors who are all fantastic in this film. Like I said, everybody's in this film. But watching them speak, in the Shakespearean prose, and then watching Denzel do it, it's like, it's like you can, like for me, I felt like he was the most clear and the person who would help most people get into Shakespeare. So I think you're totally right. Like the power of a really, really good actor and some solid directing, it can really make Shakespeare a little more accessible. I totally agree with you.
We're about to get into our rating right now of this film. Of course, you can't spoil this film because it's been in books of hundreds and hundreds of years. Yeah. Because we were just focusing on this adaptation of this old story, and within this adaptation of this old story, the acting is superb. Duh. The visual aspects of this story was superb. The amount of time that it took them to film this and how they pulled that off was superb. The fact that this movie came out at the tail end of 2021, it makes this film eligible for Oscar season. It's just so awesome. It's great, man. It's like butter. It's a feeling. Like I said, that rhythm that Shakespeare has, it nailed that rhythm. The actors nailed that rhythm. Joel Cohen, you nailed that rhythm. And because of that, I'm giving this film a 9.5. And guys, see it.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
I like this film as well, but I can't give it a 9.5. I'm going to give it an 8. Not because I didn't like the film, not because of any of the actors, not because of any of the directors, but only because I fear that Shakespeare is inaccessible for a lot of people. And even for me, who I like Shakespeare and I like this particular play, I can't lie. There are parts in the film where I struggled and I'm like, damn, I know this play. I know this is, of all Shakespeare's plays, I probably know this one the best. And even I struggled. I was like, wait, who's this person? Who's that again? And so I know if I was struggling, I know other people had to be struggling too. Because again, I literally, I spent a semester talking about this one play. So it's almost shameful. So, and like I said, I fear people will be put off by the Shakespeare stuff. But like you said, I think you should just give this a chance. Give it a chance. And I think you'll find something here for some people to really hang on to. Because like you said, this is a really good looking movie. This is a cool looking movie. Here's another weird thing. I mean, hopefully it doesn't sound like a slight, but it kind of reminded me of Sin City too, where everything was clearly like on a stage and everything was like really dramatic looking and like you said, otherworldly. Like I really dug that. So, but I know Shakespeare's gonna be tough for people. I know that.
It's stylistic within its own right. Because if you look at like certain directors, like we talked about the director who made The Harder They Fall. Like his style was like this cool, swift, cutty type of editing and mixing that with music. This is slow, somber feeling. It brings a feeling of eeriness through the lens. Yeah.
And this film, just like The Harder They Fall, you could take a frame from either film and you'll know exactly which movie it is, right? There's like all that color in The Harder They Fall, no doubting what film that is. Any frame of this, ironically the lack of color, will tell you exactly what film this is. So I think this is a really good film. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
All right. Well, I gave this film a 9.5. Devin gave this film an 8. Both of us recommend you go see it. It may be one of those you have to sit down and get through, but it's worth it in the end, people. That is our rating for The Tragedy of Macbeth. Hey, you guys, we'd like to thank you for clicking on this video. We've been out here hustling, on this YouTube thing. We gained some more subscribers, and you know how you can help us gain more? Click that subscribe button. Just right there.
Dude, I'm looking right at it.
Shiny and red.
I'm looking right at it.
You're looking right at it. Go ahead and click that subscribe button and click the notification bell so you stay up to date with everything we do on Mostly Wrong Opinions. All right. And if you liked this review of The Tragedy of Macbeth, please hit that thumbs up. It helps out the video more than you know. Or you can leave that thumbs down if you like, man, I don't like Shakespeare. It can suck it, bro.
Shakespeare's for losers.
It's for losers. Go ahead. That's your opinion if you think, Shakespeare's for losers. But just remember one thing. It is mostly wrong. See you guys in another video. Bye.
Perfect.